Hi, my name is Kaylee and this is the Branch and Brook podcast, episode 5. This is a YouTube channel all about the fiber arts, knitting, crocheting, sometimes yarn dyeing, whatever crafty thing I've been up to. You can find me on Instagram as brook.branch. Scratch that, branch.brook. I recently changed it to match the name of the podcast, so I sometimes just get it flipped around in my head. So that'll be down below too. So branch.brook on Instagram, and I'm not really active on Ravelry as of right now. So I'm coming to you from my parents' house this week. That's why it looks a little different. Today we're doing a little swap. So me, my mom, and my mother-in-law are doing our monthly paint and sip here today, and my husband, my dad, and my husband's dad are watching the new Godzilla versus Kong movie at our house, and they're doing a little marathon beforehand. So I thought I'd come over here a little early after my sessions today, and so I could podcast while nobody's here. So I might end up having to do a little more editing this week than normal because my parents have 3 dogs at their house. 2 of them are my sister's, 1 of them is theirs. 2 of them are very bark happy. So they think they hear something outside, they think they see something, they just bark, they play off of each other. And the other one's a puppy. She just laid down to nap though, so I'm hoping that she'll be good for the next, half hour, 45 minutes at least. So hoping that I won't have to edit too much, because I'm not a huge fan of editing my podcasts. I think it's nice to see, real life. So I'm sorry about I'm gonna see if I move my iPad back a little bit, if that'll help with the glare in my glasses. I don't know. Not really. And I could just look to the side, I guess. I don't know. So I'm sorry about the glare. I hope it doesn't distract anybody as much as it's distracting me. So today I have a few things to show. I have a finished object. I have a half finished object, a couple works in progress, some acquisitions. They're not specifically yarn related, but got some acquisitions, and then I have some other things that I just kind of want to share. And then next week I'll have the painting that we do today. Today we're doing, it's from Michelle the Painter on YouTube. I'll tag her below too. And we're doing a spring themed one. So this one has rain boots and flowers. I'm very excited about that. So let's jump on into it. Oh, it is Friday, April 16th. I was hoping I'd be able to podcast outside, but it's rainy and it's in like the upper 40s, so it's a little too chilly. I think we've been spoiled with some nice weather here in central New York, so I keep forgetting that it's only mid-April and it could be cold. So I will start with my first finished object. I finished a pair of the Flying Bird Shorties by Locatelli. I haven't woven in my hands, as you can see, because these are going to be for my mom for Mother's Day. I talked a little bit about these earlier, but in a previous podcast. But these I knit on size 1s, 9-inch circular needles, Chow Goo, because I knit myself a pair on size 2s, and I thought that they fit, but they were a little loose. So I was like, maybe if I go down to a size 1, it'll work out nicely. They're a little too small for my mom. So I wanted to knit myself a pair of these out of this yarn too. This is Annie yarn in her Robin's Egg colorway. It's a super pretty light blue. Some variation in there. And it has a super cool like zigzag pattern. So I knew I wanted to knit myself a pair of these anyway. So these ones are now mine. I do 64 stitches, 2x2 rib, and then a heel flapping gusset and a Kitchener stitch toe. I love this pattern. I've talked about it before because I knit, I showed my other pair of these that I knit. They just fly off my needles. It's so easy for me to just finish a full repeat, and I think this is either 4 or 5 repeats of the pattern. I can probably figure it out. This is 5 repeats of the pattern on the size 1s. And it's so easy for me to do like the cuff and the heel, because there isn't really, this is a paid for pattern, Locatelli on Ravelry. So so I can't give away too much information, but this doesn't have like really a leg to it. It goes from the cuff straight to the heel flap. So I can do the cuff, the heel flap, and heel turn all in like one evening, and then the gusset the next day, then the rest of the foot and the toe the next day. So I can finish these in like 3 days where I'm also working. If it was just one day of nothing but knitting, I could probably finish one of these in a day. At least 2 days for sure. They go so fast. And I love them so much. So these are mine. I just need to weave in the ends and then wash them. And then I can wear them, which is very exciting. Which brings me to my half-finished object. So you're going to get very tired of seeing these, because my half-finished object is the first sock for my mom. These are knit on size 2s. And my gauge is so different on size 2s versus size 1s. Like, this sock fits almost as well as the size 1s. And this only has 4 repeats, and this one is 5. So it's actually pretty interesting to look at the difference between the size 2 and the size 1. I don't think I did as many rounds of the ribbing on my size 1s as I did on the size 2s, but these fit really well. So I think I might just keep doing it on the size 2s. The size 1s fit, but I think if I were to do it again, I'd want a little bit of a leg. So this is the first one of my mom's. Same thing as before, 64 stitches on 9-inch circular needles, ChowGoo size 2. And then heel flap and gusset, Kitchener stitch toe. This is Annie's yarn. And I think I have, I have the band in here. So this is Annie's yarn, Robin's egg. It's semi-solid 80-20 sock. So it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards for 360. 400 yards equals 100 grams. And then I have the cuff done on the second sock. So yesterday I did the cuff in my ChowGoo needles. So I have no doubts that by next podcast, next week, this pair will be all done. And this is all I have left, which should be plenty for a shorty sock. So I absolutely love this pattern, but I must say I'm ready to knit other socks. So I'm thinking too though that because I love knitting this sock so much and it fits really well, and I feel like shorty socks, for me, a lot of my sizing problems comes with the like leg to the heel part, like trying to get your foot through the leg to the heel. Like if a pair of my socks are going to be too tight, that's going to be where it is really. So for me right now, shorties are easiest to knit for other people. And I'm thinking, I don't think she watches this, but Amanda, my mother-in-law, if you're watching this, skip this part. I'm thinking of knitting another pair of these in that, I showed it earlier, I don't have the yarn with me, but it's Break of Day yarn, or the color is called Break of Day, and I believe it's by Wolfiend. It's a very pretty purple. Purple's her favorite color, so I'm thinking for her birthday in July of knitting her a pair. But that'll give me a little break from knitting that pattern, because this is the third pair of socks that I've knit on it, and it's been, so I knit my first pair, and then I knew I wanted to knit my mom a pair, but I was working on her birthday socks. So I finished her birthday socks and then cast those on. And then as soon as I Kitchener stitched the second toe, I cast on the next one. So hopefully that'll be done next week, and then I can cast on some other socks. So this next work in progress is in this bag that I made. It's got this really cute pin on it. I think I got these at Hobby Lobby. It's just cheap. This is Love Yarn. Very cute, matches. And in this bag, I have another sock. This one I just finished the heel turn last night. So this sock, let's see if I can stick it on here without messing anything up. I should be fine. I always get so nervous about dropping stitches because I'm not very good at just picking them back up yet. Okay. I'm gonna say no just to be safe, but that's okay. So this is using Timber Yarns, the Exquisite colorway, and I got the band this time. Timber Yarns Twin Sock Exquisite. This is, they use 2 single skeins dyed at the same time for matching socks. They're 50-gram skeins. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and I have the other skein still hanged up. It's so pretty, and it's such a perfect spring color to knit on. I'm loving it. And similar to the Flying Bird Shorties, I find that any patterned sock that's like easy to memorize, you know, it doesn't take up too much of your brain space. Pattern socks like those or self-striping socks fly off the needles, because if you're knitting, I find if I'm knitting stockinette and, if I sit over here, maybe the glare isn't as bad. If I'm knitting stockinette, then it takes a little while for me to actually see the progress, versus if I'm knitting striped socks or a patterned sock, I can really see the progress, or I can be like, okay, I'm gonna stop after one more stripe, you know. So I'm really enjoying these. I just did the heel. I'm doing the heel in yarn that I got from my advent calendar from Sweet Sparrow Knits. I'm the worst podcaster ever. My defense, I wasn't really podcasting around Christmas time, but I'm also a very impulsive person, and I was cleaning up one day and they came all in like these really cute little envelopes, and I was like, I need to figure out something to do with my minis, some way to store my minis. So I got rid of the envelopes. I don't know the names of any of them anymore, and I thought at the time, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just knitting just to knit. I know who knit them, or I know who dyed them, but I really wish that I knew. One of these days I'll learn, but it's super pretty. I don't know if you can sort of tell, they got little specks of green throughout. It's a shimmery silver. It's got stellina in there. It's a fingering weight. So I just have to do the foot and then cast on my next one. I'm just doing a vanilla sock pattern, and I use the heel flap and gusset from Crazy Sock Lady's patterns. She has a couple of free patterns, and she uses the same heel in all of her patterns. So I use hers for the heel flap and gusset, and I'm just going to do a Kitchener stitch toe. I cast on 64 stitches, 2x2 rib, 15 rounds of ribbing, and then just stockinette stitch all the way down. And I'm knitting these on size 2 bamboo chow goose. I find that I prefer the metal ones. The yarn sticks a little bit more on the bamboo, and I already have a really tight gauge, so sometimes it makes it really difficult for me to loosen up my gauge, because I find that I'm pulling a little bit more than I do on the metal ones. But for a stockinette stitch vanilla sock, they're working out great. I am loving this project. Here's the ball of the Sweet Sparrow Knits yarn. I love it. I'm loving knitting on this. This is, so for those who don't know, I'm a music therapist working in a school district, working in 2 school districts near me. And my main school district just had to go virtual this past week due to some COVID cases in the transportation department, so they couldn't transport the kids to school. And I do a lot of car knitting, and my stockinette stitch vanilla sock is typically my car knitting. So I wasn't really able to do that. And when I was at home, I worked more on the pattern socks or my next work in progress. I also use that for church knitting. So that progress and that has been a little bit slower than I would have liked, but that's okay. because I have a lot of hand knit socks right now and I'm still working on it each week. So I made it my goal last night to just finish the heel flap because I'd gotten to a point where I was very close to the heel flap. I don't really like to knit on things like that during church, so I got it to a place where now it's just stockinette stitch in the round, so hopefully it'll go fast now. So next is my last work in progress. I haven't made a ton of progress on this, but I'm still going to show it because I'm still very happy about it. This is in a bag that my dad made, just a drawstring bag with 2 handles. Very cute, and I have Jasmine and Raja on there. This is my Flax light sweater by Tin Can Knits. It's starting to look like a real sweater. Oh, I love it. I was able to try it on and it fits really well. I'm so excited. So last week when I showed it, I had already split for the sleeves. Let me try and stick that over there. But I had already split for the sleeves. I was right here. So I've knit probably close to 2 inches down so far. I'm gonna do the cropped version. So, I mean, I still have quite a ways to go, but I've been doing the 30 minutes of knitting like Kay from Crazy Sock Lady has been doing, and this has been it. So I'm very excited. Very, very excited. This I'm using Knit Picks yarn in the, sorry about the crinkles. Comfy, Knit Picks Comfy Fingering Weight. It's in the colorway Cabin, and this is 75% cotton, 25% acrylic. It's a little, yeah, that's a little better. It's like a red, brown, chestnut color. And I'm holding it with Aloft lace weight mohair in the oat colorway, and that is 72% super kid mohair, 28% silk. So I'm holding these together. So I talked a little bit about this last week, but I sort of messed up my counts as I do. I'm not very good at that part of knitting yet. And I'm knitting, so I cast on for the size small, and I somehow ended up with the counts for a medium large on the body. But I held stitches for a size small in the arms. But I think it's gonna work out great. I think it's gonna be a really comfy sweater, but the arms aren't gonna be too baggy on me. And I'm very excited. And I really enjoy wearing like high-waisted jeans, so I think this will look great with high-waisted jeans. And it's so comfy, so squishy. I'm so excited. It's a really, I haven't gotten like to the arms yet or the bind off or anything like that, but the raglan increases and the, you know, the yoke, the top of the sweater was pretty simple for me to figure out. This is the first sweater that I've ever knit. So Tin Can Knits it's a free pattern. They have the Flax sweater and the Flax light. The Flax sweater, you can get all of these tutorials on it. It's like they're how to knit a sweater, and they use their Flax sweater pattern. And I just totally lost my train of thought. Anyways, you can use the Flax light pattern and just use the numbers from that, but the tutorials from the Flax sweater. So that's what I've been doing. And if anybody is interested in knitting a sweater but has never knit one and is nervous about it, I highly suggest using that pattern because I found it pretty simple to follow and I'm very excited about it. Very excited. Oh, I already probably, but the stitch marker that I showed, Progress Keeper, is from Simply Serving. Simply Serving is a cute little kangaroo. So that is it for my projects. Normally I have quite a few projects going on the needles, but I only have the 3 that I'm actively working on. Hopefully next week I'll have a new sock to show. I'll show that in like future projects babble. So moving on to acquisitions. Like I said, I don't have any like yarn acquisitions, but I have a couple that I wanted to share. So this goes into a little bit of babble, but last summer, 2 summers ago, because it was pre-COVID, me, my parents, I think I might have lied. It might have been during COVID, actually. Yes. So it was last summer. Me, my dad, my mom, my husband, and my sister and I went to Old Forge in the Adirondacks and visited this farm. I'm totally spacing on the name of the farm. But this woman, Ann Finney, runs it. And she has all the different types of farm animals. She has donkeys, goats, she has horses. But the main part of her farm is she has a lot of llamas. And she holds llama treks through her woods and her backyard. And it's gorgeous. It's amazing. So we went, we did that, and she has a very like self-sufficient farm, and I left there feeling super envious and just wanting to have that life, living on my own farm, sort of feeling like I'm off in the middle of nowhere, but she lives really close to like Old Forge. So I sort of went on like this sustainability kick. I went really hard into it. Like I wasn't using my dryer. I was trying to save on water. Like I was looking up all of these different things to do. And it was last summer during COVID because it was shortly before my wedding. And with having to plan and replan the wedding and everything like that, I just sort of petered out with going as hard into the sustainability as I was. But one of the things that I did do was I got this monthly subscription box called Mighty Nest, and they send you something related to sustainability, reducing waste, all that stuff each month, and it's kind of like a surprise. So this month I got this little jar of, it's called All Good Goop, and it's handcrafted skin relief made with organic herbs and olive oil. It says it will transform the way you think about balms, made in our solar-powered community kitchen with organic herbs, including, I might be pronouncing this wrong, but calendula, grown on our own farm. Each jar is lovingly hand-poured just for you. And this came in like perfect timing because I've been finding my hands have been super dry, especially since I've been knitting so much more. I think it's just using the yarn and everything, it just dries out my hands. So this stuff is amazing. It's, you just scoop out a little bit from in there, and then the warmth from your hand sort of melts it, and I love this. It smells like lavender. I love it. And I really like the fact that it comes from a solar-powered community kitchen. I think that that's really cool. So that was one acquisition that I got. I got them in the mail the other day. And then another one, I use Young Living essential oils. I get them with my mom and my dad, and I love using them. And they came out with vanilla quite a few months ago, I think, and it just kept selling out. And all I wanted was vanilla, and I finally got it. Got some vanilla Young Living oil in the mail the other day. It's so good. I don't know what exactly I was expecting, but it smells very similar, just like the imitation vanilla that you use like in cooking, which I love. And I haven't put this in the diffuser yet or used it for anything really, because I've been really into the like spring scents, like citrusy and flowery scents, but it's a very cozy scent. So I might use it one of these days because it's supposed to be rainy and kind of chilly for the next few days. So I might use it to add some coziness. So that's that. I also brought one more thing to show you that's sort of related to the skin balm that I just showed. This, my mom, my aunt, my grandma, and I went to this farm in Copenhagen, New York. I think it's Hoppenhagen because they grow hops too. But it might be pronounced Copenhagen. I don't know. But they have a lavender field, and you go and you pick your own lavender, which is really, really cool. So they tell you how to dry it. So me and my mom still have some. But I got this lavender chamomile lotion bar that I keep in at least one of my project bags. And it's really easy to use. just pop it off. It looks kind of gross because it kind of melted one day in my car. And it's just like, you just rub it on your hand and then rub it in. It smells like lavender and chamomile. I've been finding recently that my hands have just been getting super dry. I think because of the knitting, but also because, you know, working in schools and just with everything going on, I'm constantly sanitizing, constantly washing my hands, and they are getting very dry. So those are a few things those are my acquisitions. Don't have much. Next week I will have more. I'm pretty sure I'll have my Disney yarn from Sorella that I can share. And I have something else coming in the mail that I'm very excited about, but I'm going to wait to share it until next week, or until I have it in my hands. Very exciting stuff. So I do have a couple more things that I want to share. I have 2 books that I want to share, and then I have some stickers that I made with my Cricut that I pulled out the other day that I'm sharing, partially because I want to get back into it. So I'm hoping that this will kind of motivate me to get back into it. Kind of a little backstory, I guess. My husband and I are thinking about starting a family soon. And I love my job, but my goal in life has been to be like a stay-at-home mom. So I plan on still keeping my job, but maybe capping the amount of students that I have at, where we're at. I don't know yet. There's obviously so much that goes into a decision like that, and so I haven't made any decisions really yet, but I have been thinking about trying to sell some crafty things, do some small business things with my family to sort of support in case I decide that I do want to stay at home. So this is something that I've been thinking of with the soaps and with stickers and because I have a Cricut Maker that stays here because I split it with my parents, and then I have a Cricut Joy at home. So I made these on the Cricut Maker. And I have 2 that are music therapy related and then 2 that are just little quotes. But I have this one. It just says, "I'm a music therapist. What's your superpower?" I think it's cute. I have this one. "This music therapist runs on sunshine and soul." This one's one of my favorites. I really like that one. And then this one is an Aesop quote. It says, "No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted," and is in a little mason jar. These are images that I did just get off of Cricut Design Space. So obviously before I sell anything, I will be looking into any copyright laws or anything like that. I do pay for Cricut Design Space, so I don't know if that would affect anything, but that is something that I will look into before actually selling any stickers. These are just for me. So, and then this last one is an Edwin Elliot quote, and it says, "By being yourself, you put something wonderful in the world that was not there before." That's just in a little sunshine. I had others, and I don't know where they went, but I really liked making these, and I know that there's a few websites out there that you can just upload your designs and things like that, and they'll sort of do it for you, so you don't have to I wouldn't have to worry about shipping or anything like that. So those are some stickers that I made that I'm interested in doing some more of. I'm thinking a lot of positive quotes and maybe some personalized ones, like the music therapy ones that I made. Really like that. So my last 2 things that I want to show before doing some babble, I have 2 books that I got. I got these for Christmas, and I just sort of set them off to the side because, like I said last week, I sort of fizzled out in knitting around Christmas time, and I picked them up the other day, and they are called Operation Sock Drawer. This is by the Knitmore Girls. They don't really have a author, but it's the guide to building your stash of hand knit socks. And then I got Custom Socks Knit to Fit Your Feet by Kate Atherley. So this is one that I am slowly working through. They have sort of just intros and all of the ins and outs of how to measure your foot, how to pick yarn, how to figure out your gauge, so that if you can just figure out how to make your own socks without necessarily having to use a pattern, which is really cool. And they have a couple of patterns. So I want to show some patterns in here that are like future project ideas. So here's one called the Marple Ridge sock that I'm thinking about knitting for my husband. I'm thinking about trying this out in the Log Cabin Timber Yarns colorway that I got, but I think I might do it on a solid color first to see how I like it. That might be the only one from in this book, because this book has a few patterns, but it's mostly, a good chunk of the book is the construction of a sock. And this is the Man of Erin sock. So this is another one that I'm thinking about trying out. So these are a little more complicated than socks that I typically knit, but I am looking to branch out a little bit. So I'm very excited. This one, I don't think it, oh, it does cable a little bit. I've never done cabling at all, so that's something that I'm looking forward to trying out. I think that my next pair of socks, I definitely want to have some sort of cable in it to try that out. Because I know that in theory, it seems relatively easy, right? You just slip some stitches off, put them on a cable needle, knit, slip them back on. In theory, it sounds simple, but I haven't done it, so we'll see. And then I have a couple in Operation Software that I want to share that I'm excited about trying out. They have quite a few in here that I want to try. I think I eventually want to try all of them, but the first one has a little cable. It's the Sachet sock. Those look super fun. This one is by Moira Engel. Then there is the Saunter, which this one might be the one that I do, because this one is like has a cable, kind of. I'm pretty sure this is a cable, but it looks much simpler to start. So I think I want to do that. There was another one in here that I wanted to do. Oh, I should tell you who that's by. Susie White is the Saunter pattern. Oh, here's one. I think this one's super cute. It's called a Drawer Full by Becky Green. And this one would be my first colorwork sock that I would try, and it has socks on it. Plus this really cute colorwork motif on the bottom of the foot. So that's one that I want to try. And I think there was another one, but I might be wrong. I was flipping through this late at night once, right before I went to bed. So I'm really excited to try some of these out. I've never cabled. The Flying Birds Shorties were the first like patterned sock that I ever did. And I love them. I love them so much. So I want to start knitting a little more complicated things, you know. Keep my vanilla socks going, you know. Those are always a classic to go with, especially if you're using like a yarn that really just like speaks for itself. But I want to start branching out a little bit. So that's all that I have to share today. Let's see, do I have any babble? Like I said, my one school district went full virtual this week, which was difficult. It was very last minute. It was Sunday night at like 10 o'clock, and we got a call that we were going virtual for a week, which was the longest that we've really done in a while. We haven't really gone virtual in quite some time, quite a few months. We've been doing really well. There was a moment in there where it was like every week, at least one of the schools in the district was virtual for at least a couple of days, because one person would get it, and through contact tracing, enough people would have to quarantine that they wouldn't be able to staff the school. But this was the first time since, I think, after winter break that the school was full virtual. The whole school was remote. So I had a few students who had trouble getting on, who weren't able to get on because it was last minute. So luckily we were able to go back in person on Monday, which is very exciting. Very happy about that. We have a very busy May coming up. We have the beginning of May, the first weekend, my husband is visiting Rochester, visiting his best man, some of his friends up there. And then the second weekend of May, we have this really nice town near us does townwide yard sales, and we're going to those, which is very exciting for Mother's Day, and I'm celebrating Mother's Day with my mom. And then my husband's grandpa is visiting. He lives in Florida. We haven't seen him since my husband graduated high school, which was like 8 years ago. He hasn't visited in a while, and even then he was up for like, I think that one day we saw him at the graduation, and that was like it. So we're spending like a weekend with him and his dad, which is very exciting. We have a little trip planned for the end of May. Oh, what else? Oh, we're going to that farm, Aunt Finney's farm. My dad was asked to do a blessing of the animals. So we're going up there with the youth group, and we're going to do some llama treks. We're going to do a little ceremony blessing the animals, do some music, which is very, very exciting. I'm very excited for that. Then the beginning of June, what are we doing the first weekend of June? Oh, I don't remember. It'll come to me later. But then the second weekend of June, there's a fiber festival up here at the CNY Fiber Fest. And my dad and I are very excited to go to that, which is awesome. My birthday's at the end of April, and so I'll be celebrating it. It's on the 25th, which is a Sunday. So we'll be celebrating with my parents that Saturday because Ben has he has like a whole day planned. He's not telling me about yet. So I'm very excited. It's a very exciting, very busy upcoming few months. So I feel like before I know it, the school year will be over and it'll be summer, which normally I'm not very excited for summer because I don't really like being super, super hot. And I don't know, I'm excited for some things normally over the summer, but I prefer like fall and spring weather. But I'm very excited for this summer. We have a couple really awesome vacations planned, and my husband will be off for most of the summer. I would still work through the school, but fewer sessions a week for the extended school year kiddos. So I don't work as much over the summer. We have a couple really awesome vacations. We have some day trips that we really want to do. So we're very excited. Very excited. Yeah, so that's it for this week. Hoping next week I'll have some cool new projects to share, but who knows? I've been really enjoying podcasting every Friday, so I'm hoping that I can keep doing that as things get busy too. Even if I only have a little bit to share, even if it's a shorter podcast, I think I would still really enjoy podcasting. It's a good motivator for me to keep knitting and to keep trying new things. So I've been really enjoying it. So that is all for today. Hopefully I'll have this up in the next few days. I always say that, and then it's not up until the following Wednesday, but that's okay. Yeah, so I hope to see you next week. If you enjoyed what you heard, please like and subscribe and share. Get this podcast out there. Any little thing would help. If you have any questions or comments or tips or tricks or anything, please comment down below or message me on Instagram. I would be more than willing to accept any advice or anything like that. So thank you. I hope you have an awesome week. I hope you're enjoying your April. Hope you enjoy whatever you're knitting, crocheting, or creating. And I will see you next time. Bye.